Everybody, I hope you are still with us after the lunch. Okay, we are sorry that the session started late because of the traffic jam, because we just came from the opening ceremony over there in the Istana. Okay, for today, actually we have 4 speakers. But we are still waiting for the other 2, which are on the way to the Balai Kartini. So we start with Professor Sidharta first. I would like to read Professor Sidharta CV before we start. This is just a brief CV of Prof. Sidharta. He is the council member of IAESB. And also representing Indonesia in the International Accounting Education Standard Board, IFAC, for the 2 consecutive 2-year terms since 2015. Currently, he is a professor of Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Indonesia, and serves as a vice rector of Universitas Indonesia. His research and teaching interest are corporate governance, finance, and investment. He is the member of the Board of Advisory for Financial Accounting Policy of Bank Indonesia, an independent commissioner and a member of audit committee in a major public companies. He graduated from Universitas Indonesia with the major of accounting, and also he got his master from Indiana University and PhD from the from Texas A&M University. Without due care, I would like to ask Professor Sidharta to present his material. Thank you. 15 minutes ya Pak.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very glad to be here with you. This session will discuss about the modern accountant. Since I'm currently serve as a board member of the International Education Standards, I will update you with the latest works of our board, which is we plan to revise the education standards on information and communication skill and also on professional skepticism. Before I start my presentation, I would like to introduce you about what is international education standards. So IFAC has a board. The name of the board is IAESB, International Accounting Education Standard Boards, and the task of this board is to develop education standards that have to be complied with all members of IFAC. So since IAI is a full member of IFAC, then IAI will have to comply with all standards issued by boards related to IFAC. So in this case, you as a member of IAI, being as a chartered accountant, you need to make sure that your professional competence comply with those defined under international education standards. So, so far we have issued 8 education standards, and 3 of them, 3 standards, standards 2, 3, and 4, address or define the learning outcomes of professional accountants. So I will explain to you what are we doing now, and I think in this case it's very relevant to the topic presented earlier by the President IFAC regarding industrial 4.0, and also in the previous session regarding disruption technology. So I will provide what the board has done, to make sure that the professional competence of us, as a Chartered Accountants, keep updated with the change in the environment. Okay, so I will present the proposed revision of International Education Standards, ICT, and Professional Skepticism. So we plan currently the exposure draft of the standards. You can access this at the website of IAESB. You can just Google, you type IAESB, and then you can download the document that elaborates on, that provides the exposure draft of these standards. Next, please. Okay, so the background. So the board, okay, thank you. I think we all can observe, that in recent years there has been a significant development in ICT, and the disruptive potential of information and communication technology that probably have been discussed in the first session. And at the same time, the other development is that there are some scandals related to accounting that, in a way, has eroded the trust in the profession. So there are demands, from the stakeholders that professional accountants have to increase, their competencies in terms of ICT, and also at the same time also make sure that they have a high standards of ethics, and integrity. So the second point, so the board conduct a survey to the stakeholders, to the professional accountants, and also to the employers of the professional accountants. And in general, the stakeholders agree that ISB need to address, the changing skill sets needed by accountants. So we identify what areas that are the most important, that are has to be revised, the standard. So we identify ICT, and the second one is professional skepticism. We also look at the existing standards, and we also conclude that the existing standards, the skill sets defined by the existing standards are lacking behind, the development. So from the next few slides, I will provide you some learning outcomes expected for professional accountants, meaning all of you, in terms of ICT skills and also in terms of professional skepticism. And I also want to highlight that the second one, professional skepticism, does not apply not only to auditors, but also to all accountants. So meaning all accountants also have to have this professional skepticism skill. Okay. So first I will start with the ICT skills first, and then after that I will follow with the professional skepticism. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 3 standards in the international education standards related to professional competence of professional accountants. First is IS2, which address the technical competence. This table provides a summary of learning outcomes that are new, and also learning outcomes that are revised from the existing standards. You can see in the table, when I say revision of competencies in terms of ICT, means it's not only addressing those subjects directly related to ICT, but also related to other subjects. So for example, you can see that the competence area related to governance, risk management, and internal control, we have 2 new learning outcomes. Okay, and then for ICT, the proposed revision is 4 new learning outcomes and 2 revised learning outcomes. For your information, under the existing standards, only 4 learning outcomes related to ICT. Now with the proposed standards, there will be eight learning outcomes related to ICT. And then after that, business law and regulations, 1 new learning outcomes, and business organizational environment, 1 new learning outcomes. So you can see that in terms of the technical competence, the plan is to have the total of 8 new learning outcomes and 2 revised learning outcomes. So in the interest of time, I will not provide you all the learning outcomes. These are some learning outcomes that are expected to have to be all professional accountants to have. So you can see there are 6 learning outcomes here, and you can see that in terms of the level of mastery of the skills, it's quite high because all professional accountants are expected to be able to recommend improvements to process and controls. I know that I think some of you know about Bloom taxonomy. We know that under Bloom's taxonomy, recommendation is like the highest level skill set. Okay, so all professional accountants are expected to have a very high mastery in terms of their ICT skills. You can see the illustration. The next one, IAS3 address the professional skills. So IAS2 address technical competence, IAS3 professional skills, and IAS4 address the values, professional values, ethics, and attitudes. So under the professional skills, there are 2 competence areas that will be revised. The first one is new learning outcome, 1 revised learning outcome, and interpersonal and communication, 1 revised learning outcome. This one, okay, this is the new learning outcomes that is expected for professional accountants. So all of us are expected to be able to demonstrate intellectual agility. What is intellectual agility? So we have also come up with a new definition, of intellectual agility. In summary, this definition implies that as a professional accountant, we need to be flexible. We need to be able to keep update, flexible to the change in the environment, and we need to be able to take advantage of the change in the environment. That's basically summary what it means by intellectual agility. So in the future, all professional accountants are expected to have this. The next one is regarding professional values, ethics, and attitudes. So this is also a new learning outcome. So as an accountant, you are expected to be able to apply ethical principles when accessing, storing, generating, using, and sharing data and information. I think this is very important because, for example, like you know that under this social media, it's very easy that you distribute information that from sources that are probably not reliable. So with this, you need to apply ethical principles when you want to share information or when you want to generate information and so on. Okay. So these all learning outcomes that are related to ICT skills. So next I will explain about the professional skepticism. So a professional skepticism meaning that when we get information, we need to verify. We need to make sure that the information is accurate. That's professional skepticism. We need to have a questioning mind. We need to be critical. We need to have a questioning mind. So under the professional skepticism, for audit and assurance, as an auditor, you need to assess audit evidence for appropriateness and sufficiency. Okay, and this is the summary for professional skills for professional skepticism. So there are 3 competence areas that also will be revised: intellectual, interpersonal, and communication skill, and also personal. 4 new learning outcomes. Okay, this the next slide provides learning outcomes related to personal. Okay, so as a professional accountant, you need to demonstrate awareness of personal and organizational bias. Okay, for example, in the situation of where you have a conflict of interest, you need to identify is there a bias that I have? If there is a bias, how should I address this bias to make sure that my decision is still objective and independent? Okay, so this is one learning outcome. And then the next one is also reflect on experience to improve future actions, meaning that we always learn from past mistakes and then try to correct it to make it better in the future. Okay, and then the next one is related to professional values and ethics and attitudes. There are 2 new learning outcomes and 3 revised learning outcomes. And these are some learning outcomes related to professional skepticism and professional judgment. The first one is apply questioning mind when assessing data and information. So when we receive information, for example, from in a WhatsApp group or from in Facebook or wherever, we have to ask first whether this information is accurate. Is it reliable? Okay. And there are also 2 new learning outcomes. Demonstrate curiosity by exploring beyond what is immediately apparent, and also apply techniques to reduce bias. Again, I remind all of us that these skill sets should apply to all professional accountants, not only auditors. Okay, so even, I mean, if you are working as a, for example, management accountants, you also need to apply these skill sets. So this slide have summarized my presentations. This is still exposure draft. So we would like you to also provide comments. You can go to our websites. If you have some concerns or if you want to make some suggestions, what should be the learning outcomes for professional accountants in terms of ICT skills and professional skepticisms, please do. This exposure draft will be, we will accept your suggestions and comments until the month of February next year. And then the plan is to have the standard revised by June 2019. So the standard should be effective in the year of 2021. Or 2020, I'm sorry, because next year is 2019. So that concludes my presentations. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Sidharta, for the presentation. The next speaker is Mark Billington. Mark has been the Regional Director of Southeast Asia since joining ICAEW in February 2009. After qualifying as an ICAEW Chartered Accountant in 1990 with BDO Stoy Hayward, Mark has worked in a variety of industry verticals in the telecom sector for multinational, national and startup companies. From 2003 until 2007, Mark was the CEO of O2, Asia Pacific and Middle East, and was a pioneer of the smartphone business. He was responsible for the creation of a premium brand in Asia, as well as dealing with supply chain of O2 into Greater China, valued at over US 500 million. And between 2000 and 2003, Mark was the CEO, Chief Operating Officer and Senior Vice President for O2 in Netherlands, and oversaw one of the largest outsourcing telecoms deals in Europe during that period. Prior to joining O2, Mark held a variety of roles in British Telecom, including responsibility for interests valued as US $1 billion. Mark has over 15 years of experience in evaluating and managing large, complex deals and organizations, and is a frequent speaker and commentator in the region. He currently sits on the Singapore Accountancy Commission Productivity Advisory Committee, having previously sat on the Research Center and Development Fund Committee. So without due care, I will let Mark do the presentation. Thank you, Mark. It's time.
Well, thank you, Ibu for those kind words, and good afternoon, everybody. Now, I'm hoping to start with a film, and there it goes. Thank you.
Driven by the explosion of data, digital technologies are profoundly changing everything. Businesses, economies, societies, and finance. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, and predictive analytics are transforming the profession. They're making finance more efficient and changing how finance provides insight and continues to be a valued business partner. Disruption is the new normal, leaving finance professionals struggling to keep up with the pace of digital change. But knowledge is power. Finance in a digital world is a huge opportunity. It's also the name of ICAEW's new online learning experience, designed to help you develop a strong understanding of the impact of disruptive technologies on finance. Through e-learning, videos, animations, use case studies and interactive exercises, you will explore these technologies, their applications and benefits. You'll learn how the role, skills and capabilities of finance are changing. You'll assess opportunities, and you'll understand the next steps to get started. Like we said, the digital revolution is here. Get ready. Start your learning journey today.
So start your learning journey today. Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here talking about the modern accountant, and on behalf of ICAEW, the Institute of Chartered Accountants England and Wales, and CAW, Chartered Accountants Worldwide, to share with you some of our thinking. And I'm going to start with just explaining why I put that short film up. That short film is something that we sent out or a link to all 150,000 of our members around the world. Because over the last 15 months, ICAEW has invested a huge amount in partnership with Deloitte as a collaboration in developing a 6-module training package specifically for our members to prepare them for life in a digital world. This big investment is absolutely free to our members because we see it as being so fundamental to what an ICAEW chartered accountant needs to know now and what we'll do in the future. So I'm absolutely delighted, as I say, to have a chance to share some of our thinking. But before I think about today, Industrial Revolution 4.0, I just kind of wanted to reflect back on in perhaps accounting terms where our industrial revolutions have been in the past. So you can see from this slide here, the top left-hand corner, that's really about rapid industrialization. I then think of maybe let's call it IR 2.0 as the introductions of mainframe computing into management tasks. We then move into, I guess, mid-80s to PCs on the desk, ubiquitous access to computing power, combined with Windows making it available for anybody to access the power of the computer. And finally, we ended up at IR 4.0, and let's talk about cloud and the Internet of Things and where we are today. And the one constant through all of that is ICAEW. Now, we were founded in 1880, so we're nearly 140 years old. So this isn't the first change to the profession that we've seen. It's not even the second change to the profession. Arguably, we have seen more changes to this profession than any other body. We have, within ourselves, a corporate memory and an inherent experience of disruption to our industry. But what's different now, I think, and I'm sure you'd all agree, it's not about the change, it's about the pace of change. So I'm going to spend the next sort of 10, 15 minutes, thanks to the Jakarta traffic, it would have been 20 minutes if I'd have got here on time. I'm going to spend the next 10, 15 minutes looking at what we see as the disruptions, the trends of disruption, and what the opportunities are that creates. So the first thing we think is that in ICAEW that we've now created a new language. Everybody knows their ABCD. Well, for us, we've now reinvented that. So A is for artificial intelligence, B for blockchain, C for cybersecurity, and D for data analytics. And each of these in its own way is transforming our profession. AI clearly is automating less standard tasks than robotics process automation, which was the big thing 2 years ago. We're already beyond that. Blockchain, arguably the need to reconcile books. The whole point of a distributed ledger is to introduce trust and take out that middleman. So what's the role for accountants and auditors particularly? Cybersecurity, this whole new space allowing us to really experience a new regime for control and detection, looking at external focus and really allowing the accounting profession to concentrate really on what's now becoming the crown jewel, which is data. Yeah? And we should absolutely own anything to do with data. And data analytics, of course. Vast amounts of data being generated, most of it unstructured. Corporates now getting better at structuring that data. And that provides us a whole new range of non-financial information on which for us to base our judgments, how to support our decisions, and to check the integrity of the financial data that we're working with. So a complete new language that we're instilling into our members. And with that comes new opportunities for new revenue streams. As chartered accountants, we should be the ones who are providing insight from this vast amount of data. That's what we've done. Our history is, we take numbers, we tell stories so that people who don't understand the numbers can understand what the numbers are telling them. Well, that's what we need to do with data. We need to move from becoming a general business advisor into more specialist advisor roles, using the digital environment that we live in. But to do that, it means we have to have the competencies and skills that set us apart to be trusted as an advisor. We need to partner with technology and technology providers. Who's going to be the partner on AI models and machines that are impacting finance and that are producing the numbers that we rely on in the future? There has to be a trusted advisor somewhere at the core of that understands what's going on there. Isn't doing the coding, but is setting the framework for that coding that creates AI, that is prepared to work with the robots, that understands how to configure the data. And then we have expanding into new areas. Obviously, we've got here the UN Sustainable Development Goals. There's non-financial reporting, cybersecurity I talked around earlier. All of these are massive future opportunities to replace the revenues that will undoubtedly be lost as some of the accounting and finance function becomes automated. Some of the roles that we have historically done as accountants, as chartered accountants, will no longer exist. So finding new roles for us, finding new revenue streams is absolutely vital, and they are definitely out there. But to take hold of those new opportunities mean we have to think in a completely different way about what are the skills that we require. So we've invested a huge amount of time on looking at what are the digital skills that a chartered accountant requires. And And whilst there's been huge amounts of automation, actually, when we look at it from a skills perspective, it's a lot easier to identify the skills. And the skills are not so fundamentally different to what we've asked of a chartered accountant for many, many years now. The first skill we've identified, there's 5 skills. The first one is adaptability. So we need members who can recognize that business is in a constant state of change and evolution and be curious about this and question this, and be able to adjust their thinking to that kind of world. Well, that's something that we've always said, what we want from a chartered accountant. It's not just somebody who does the numbers, it's somebody who takes the numbers and tells a story so that other people, and help other people make decisions. Insight. The ability to analyze and interpret the data, not just manage the data, is what we think sets aside chartered accountants, because it's insight that provides critical commercial information to make those decisions on. Collaboration. The ability to partner and consider diverse perspectives to create new and successful outcomes is even more amplified in a digital world where other people and other professionals have a level of expertise that now we rely on, rather than those people relying on us to be the experts in just the numbers. Perspective is the 4th skill. And the ability to take a holistic view of business is even more important than it's ever been. So not just looking at the financial data, but being able to marry that financial data with the environment data, with the non-financial information, and be part of a team that comes up with advice and solutions, we see as being critical to being a high-performing chartered accountant. And finally, the 5th skill is learning and reflection. And again, I think this is something that as chartered accountants we've always valued. You know, I look across the room. There's a huge amount of experience in this room, but that experience is latent and loses value if you don't continue to build on it, if you don't continue to reflect on what experience you've had, what you can add to it, to learn and to change, to be more efficient and effective. So 5 key digital skills that we see for the modern accountant. So if you identify the skills, then of course what we want to talk about is, so what do we do about it in terms of training, skills and training? So we've recognized that we need to have more technical skills around IT, data, and analytics. We've also recognized that relevant industry and business understanding becomes even more important in this new world. Soft skills and the development of those soft skills are really, really important. Those 5 digital skills I talked about, if you'd have taken digital off that slide and just called it 5 skills for life, you could associate with those. And those softer skills are things that more and more we see are important to high value individuals, high value members, and really dynamic companies. So the demonstration and the acceptance of diversity in the workforce in whatever form, and the soft skills that in many ways are inherent in the building blocks are built way before you go to university in terms of your ability for soft skills. So helping make sure that those soft skills are in place, and then giving people a pathway to develop them, we see is really, really important. It's something we put a huge amount of focus on in our examinations. So a lot of people talk about the ICAEW and the exams. Actually, the exams isn't the main bit. The main bit is the work experience and the development of our 7 skills, professional skills ladders. And finally, the impact on skills and training is it doesn't stop. Now I don't think it ever stopped, and I'm sure Prof would back me up on this. But even more so, even more now, it's harder and harder to rely on your experience to get you through. You have to marry your experience with ensuring that your skills are up to date and relevant. I was fortunate enough to be at the World Congress of Accountants last month, and one of the speakers there was the CEO for LinkedIn for Australia. And Australia has 12 million professionals. 10 million of them are on LinkedIn Australia. It's like a fantastic penetration, fantastic insight into what professionals, what business professionals and business people are doing. And one of the real insights that I got was that he felt that any training nowadays that you did in terms of current digital workplace was valid for 2, maybe 3 years. So gone are the days when you learned your skills and that was it, and you topped them up occasionally, or you went on brief refreshers. His view was that for future business leaders, the investment into skills and training is going to be multiple times greater than it's ever been in the past. So what does it mean? When I was putting this slide together, I obviously had to guess at what the makeup of the audience would be like. So I picked 2 photos. So on your left is a group of Indonesian undergraduates who ICAEW recognized and took them on a trip to London for winning the Southeast Asia Regional Business Challenge. So definitely in that millennial, almost Gen Z pot. And there is a difference between millennials and Gen Z. And then I had the audience, and I was trying to think of a picture that I could come up with that would reflect the experience that I might expect to see in the audience. So this was the signing of an MOU between ICAEW and EIE in Sydney, and so you see we have a whole range of experience in that photograph. But why this is important, and particularly from an ICAEW perspective, is that if you look at our members, they pretty much split up into groupings of 20%. So 20% of our members are under 35. And then you can go forward 35 to 45, 45 to 55, 55 to 65, and over 65. So we have about 20% of our members who are, let's call it, comfortable, very comfortable, and possibly have been brought up in a digital age. So they don't remember analog phones. They only remember digital phones. They probably don't remember, they probably never had a phone that didn't have a screen that you actually used and input onto it. So it's very, very comfortable in that space. Yeah? We have a big chunk of members who are in that over 65 space, who are possibly retired or moving towards retirement. And that means we have 60% of our members are in the middle. They are chartered accountants out there advising businesses, and they will have a range of skills and competencies and experience in a digital space. And that's really important for us to reflect on that, because it means we have to have 2 types of answer. And I would say this is relevant for you and your employees. So you have one set of answers which is really around looking at how do you develop those digital skills I talked about in a way that is channeled towards an outcome that you desire. For us, that's technical work experience. We do it in exams. And then you have a series of skills that are needed to enhance, to keep our members relevant, our more senior members relevant, and enhance the value that they bring. Because at the end of the day, our profession is so dependent on what our members do today and the legacy that they leave. Because if they don't stay relevant in a marketplace, it's no good saying to a 15, 20, 22-year-old, trained to be a chartered accountant, because if our senior members aren't relevant in the marketplace, aren't adding value, and aren't being business leaders, there is no incentive for people to come in and go on to be chartered accountants. So getting that piece is really, really important to us. So I'm going to be quickly through the last 2 pieces, but a lot of what I've talked about, I mean, look at us now. You've got an accountant talking to an audience of accountants. We can be very inwardly looking on this and navel-gazing. It's absolutely vital that we get external perspectives on what the role of an accountant is in this disruption, because it's important to remember, at the end of the day, we act in the public interests. A lot of what I've talked about and what we as a profession worry about can look internal, but we must always remember that what it means to the public when they engage a professional. And technically competent is a given, but these things, irrespective of the digital age, ethics and integrity, professionalism, business insights, and the ability to exercise judgment. So whilst we worry about digital and the transformation of digital, we can't throw away what we've always had and what we've always been known for. And that kind of leads me into my last slide. And just going back to that point that, for me, for ICAEW, IR 4.0 is the fourth iteration of Industrial Revolution that we've seen, and I'm sure there will be IR 5.0 and 6.0. But all along the way, the thing that has been a constant is our ability to be a trusted advisor. Because without trust in the profession, it really doesn't matter what else is happening outside and driving change. If we ever lose that trust in the profession, we become irrelevant, irrespective of what our skill sets are. So I'm gonna leave you with that final thought on trust, and I believe if there's time, there's another film to just queue up. As I'm looking over at my team. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark, for the video. For information, IKATAN AKUNTAN Indonesia is the member of Chartered Accountant Worldwide as well. The same like ICAEW, because we have the same destination, that is Chartered Accountants, and we do many things together. Like just now for the young professional accountants, we have many activities that as members of IAI, you can also join through the website of IAI, which is connected to the Chartered Accountant Worldwide. Thank you so much for showing that video. Okay. Our next speaker is Pak Irwan Djaja. He is the CEO and partner of KPMG Sidharta Advisory. He has more than 22 years of experience spanning business consulting and industry roles. Prior to joining KPMG, Irwan Djaja was a CEO of Lipo Technology Media and Telecommunication Group. During a tenure with Lipo Group, Irwan served as an executive board member in a various business unit. He was a president director and CEO of the PT Linknet, a publicly listed company providing broadband internet. He was also a president director of PT First Media, a strategic listed building holding company with an investment in 4G LTE, satellite, pay TV, broadband, media, and technology solution. Irwan also served as a president commissioner of PT Cipta Dana Capital, an integrated financial service company. Irwan started his career in 1994 at Arthur Andersen as a junior auditor. He left to undergo further study in Melbourne He then worked as a director of KPMG between 1997 and 2005. Okay, please, Pak Irwan. Okay.
Selamat siang. Very good afternoon to all of you. Yeah, after lunch, there's the problem, always the getting challenged. Yeah. Okay, the presentation today is about riding the new wave of evolutionary change. This is a title given to me by the committee members. Let me start with the agenda for today. I have 15 minutes to cover the four agenda today. I'll try to be faster. Number one, we talk about what have changed in terms of the business evolutionary. Number two, we talk about the future accountant and its function. Number three, about the point of view, where we see the accountant will be going forward. And lastly, what is next after that. Let me start this in line with the title. Can you see clearly? Okay. It's basically a picture of a wave. And probably let's start with this one. Kelihatan nggak ya? It's a bit. Okay. It sounds like just a picture. But if you, this picture is taken by a guy by the name Kelly Slater. Kelly Slater is a professional server. He has, coming from US, he has won 11 WSL, which is a World Server League. Yeah, it's quite a kayak ini apa ya, cukup very popular guys. He's using a GoPro to take when he do the serving. Interesting about this wave, I pointed out 4 areas. The first area, if you see, is the picture with the arrow. Right? Normally, when you do serving, what do? You go in line with the wave heading, right? You're heading towards the. But this guy, he do against the wave, so contra directions. In business, we call this a disruptive. While people go into these directions, you are moving away from the other direction. So there's the arrow, show the, call it right different directions. The second part about it is about this picture. On the very end, on the left side, you see there's a shark. Actually, this is a real shark. So we took this from a GoPro. So it means in the business, it's called uncertainty. In other words, there's a risk associated to any business that you develop. In my language, I call it a dynamic. The third part, if you look at this, the cross. The cross show that Kelly always put in a full uniform, a suit and everything, right, to protect. Insurance. So if you know the things called, when you, the new wave come, how do you avoid that even without getting wet? So in business term, I call it agility, how you avoid problem when that's happened. The last part is about the one in the corner there. It's actually he's driving not a manual server. He's using the scooter's server. It means there's a tool, or in the business we call it a technology. So this is how a business are looking at when you're driving the new wave. What have changed over the time? Number one is the dynamics. Things are changed faster than it was. You think know that the technology, when I was in a technology company, I was in a telecommunication company. Those days, we know fixed line, then you know a 1G analog, then you move it to 2G, GSM, CDMA, TDMDA, then 2.5G, GPRS, H, 3G, WCDMA, 4G, WiMAX, TD-LTE. So things continue changing, and 5G today. Competition. In the telco business, you know that those who are the winner is the one that own the infrastructure. So those days, everybody who build the infrastructure, cover the whole area, they are the winners. Then we start see this competition changes. Then frequency become an important asset. Who own the frequency 2.3, 1.8, 900 megahertz, they are the winners. Then things start shifted. All of a sudden, frequency become less important than customer base, economy of scale. Then all the way, competition changes to the last round is the one that own the ecosystem is the winner. So competition also become a dynamics. Consumer behavior change? Yes. In fact, consumer today getting less loyal. Yeah? Those days, they are happy pay abandonment. They move to the prepaid model. Now they move to postpaid. All you can eat. But now they go back to pay-per-view, pay-per-use kind of model. So customer also changed. It means what? It means that the loyalty of the customer getting thinner. The other part, regulation also changed, but sometimes not as fast as the technology. In some items, infrastructure can be shared by technology, but regulation doesn't allow that. So these are the dynamics happening in the business. Knowledge that you can gain short period of time is no longer a secret. People can get it easily. Product service life cycle getting shorter, while in the business where the CapEx is getting higher. One hand, your CapEx getting higher, your technology getting faster, life cycle getting shorter. How you manage those dynamics? What else have changed? Business focus. Today, shifted from pipelines to platform. Yeah? We advise one of our banking clients. One of the ideas that we see is you go to the bank, sometimes without we realize, it's a very transactional base. You want to go time deposit, they bring you to the person, the teller who do all, the relationship manager do the time deposit. When you have make a currency payment or buy a dollars, you're moving to other desks. Now, sometimes it looks like more transactions. On the digital world, people want to be seamless. They want to have a 360 customer relationship management engagement. The same time you go, the same RM have to deal with you on all other aspects. While you waiting, they sell you some other products. So these are called interaction rather than a transactions. Digital shift rather than physical shift. Yeah? So obvious. Things are now going towards the digital. Those days, you go travel, you have to print the tickets. Right? E-commerce, you buy things, ongkos kirim become more expensive. So e-commerce also start to go a profit model. They now start selling digital products. Insurance, mutual funds, tickets, those are digital products. No need ongkos kirim. So these are the things that changes. Services, yes, from product to services. Without we realizing, even though physical is a product, but people look at that as services. So user interface is the one that more important rather than what are you selling behind the basket. Exponential shift. Things are not go linear because people don't have patience to go linear. Used to be those big conglomerates start with the upstream, then they build medium stream, then they build the downstream. Now, multi-function, multi-channel, multi-platform. Things come at the same time. People don't have the patience to go to that sequence development. Stakeholder shift. Without we realizing, ecosystem is more important than the stakeholders. People don't value because of your profitability. People value because you have the skill, who you serve, how do you serve, and what are the underlying transactions around that. So the stakeholders is more important than this. So these are few things that continue changing and changing. What else changed? Business environment change. Ya, sekarang kita know a convergence happening. Those days as a telco operator, I'm quite happy to compete with other telco operator within the same regions. Today, convergence happening. People on the technology side start seeing, hey, by the way, business of telecom also not bad. My platform allow me to do a telecom. People who own the content start seeing that, hey, by the way, going into broadband business is also interested. And my platform allow me to do that. Technology people who used to serve software system integrator now start offering content, start offering telecommunication, VoIP and all those sort of OTTs become a platform. So without you realizing, the competition is become borderless. Nggak ada lagi perbedaannya, sangat kental dan sangat tipis. Ya, so these are changes. Business model, yes, it's also changed. You start seeing a lot of models coming up from that. A subscription model, those days we used to pay things on you pay first media on a subscription model, but now in a bigger scale. Netflix, a blockbuster model extended into the online. Freemium model, they give you something as a basic. Along the time, we want to enjoy the premium, you pay. So this like LinkedIn, like Spotify, Dropbox. Free model is purely no payment. Then they get the money from the advertisement. Marketplace, the same thing. Different between Alibaba and Amazon. Amazon, they have the whole value chains. Sorry, Amazon. Alibaba, they just do the marketplace. It's purely preparing the market. Everybody can go in and transact. So a model of customer focus become a vendor focus. You put the vendors first, and then the traffic will come subsequently. So these are the changes are happening. Access over ownership model. You know that some apps called a desk near me, where you have access office room, rather than you don't use it, you allow other people to use it. A, B, and B, those are the model. Gojek is another model. So many models coming out of these changes. Access ownership model. Hypermart models. Everything you can find is there. So this like Amazon. Even today, Amazon shifted to cloud services. They offer that. Dan seterusnya, dan seterusnya. So many model change. What does it mean to the accountant? Yeah. You see the chart is those old days when my time, or probably this professional time, most of our time, we are trained to be on the right side, right? A best accountant is a good stewardess, yeah? A best accountant is a good controller. So in a business, somebody who sit on the back of the corner, somebody who have thick glasses, and the default answer always no. OPEX, no. Traveling, no. Yeah? CAPEX, alah, lagi susah. Yeah? So we are trained to be a good accountant, somebody help the company save the money. A commercial, a trusted reporter. So a good accountant is somebody who can do a consolidation of 20 layers of company. That is the good accountant. Somebody who always get things debit equal to credit. These are the good accountants. We are trained for that. So during our era, doesn't wonder a lot of CFO coming from a public accountant because they are trained technicality competence. But now moving towards to the creation of value, where the concept of value of change. By the way, this is a framework I take from CIMA. Yeah, this is IAESB. It's actually become influencer, enabler, a commercial analyst, somebody provide the strategic value. Those things on efficient information now moving towards the influence, impact. Remember this? Yeah, those days? Yeah, masih ingat gak bikin debit credit? If cannot keep debit and credit, you will not pass Prof. Linda class. Yeah? Is the student who cannot make, you have to pull out your 100,000 and put it together, become a balance. So what could be the potential scenario for CFO? These are not a joke. This is something could possibly happen to next future. Scenario 1, CFO will no longer exist. It will be replaced by CXO or robot, automate. Scenario 2, CFO as a service. Things going to be outsourced. CFO 3, the scenario 3 is CFO are more relevant and even more influential. These are the survey done by KPMG. 50% of the chance of AI outperforming humans in all tasks by 2062. So 40 years from now, half of your job, half of your thing you do, human, can be replaced. And that will go up to 100% by next 120 years. So quite scary, isn't it? The concept of value, you can see on the left hand, whereby the bottom part of the pyramid, the routine analysis transaction, that can be automated. Yeah, I will show you today is automation, robotic process automation is very actual, it's happening. We help our client build the robotic, tracing from the forging of documents, tracing against the list of vendors, checking about the history, doing the posting. Those can be done by automate. So this is from time to time, the CFO, this could be the future. All right? This is the first scenario. Whether you're still thinking send your son or daughter to Sekolah Akuntan. CFO as a service is another possibility. Right? It's happening. These are all virtual CFO happening. In Singapore, people offering the CFO role on a platform. A freelance, finance chief, a part-time CFO. So those are things. Somebody told me about the concept of, in the future, you might have apps. You want to call your auditor. You want to call your consultant. The app can show you. You want to call a partners, associate directors, come up with the rate. You just use the apps. They will show up in front of your office. That could happen. Scary, isn't it? The third part is the role of CFO is even more important than today. This is the part where CFO are relevant and influential, using the augmented intelligence, right? Certain part of the changes on the technology cannot be replaced by humans. The part related to the cognitive platform, the analytics part, the translation of the analysis, the strategic part of the analysis, that still remain. So a CFO who own and embrace those kind of skill will become very relevant, and they will be the one that give the judgment and skill, and they are paid for that skill. You start seeing the representative use of cases, simple from a plant operations all the way to risk management, cybersecurity, IT operations. I still got 7 minutes. This is the evolutions, right? Those days kita taunya selalu dibilang CFO and CEO. CEO is Batman, CFO is Robin. So Batman kepepet, ada Robin, ya. Then change. the relation become more intimate, whereby it's called Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They are no longer a subordinate. They are partners. Today, the new era is called Iron Man. You know the story of the Iron Man, right? The girlfriend is the real CEO of the stocks industry. But the real guy is the CFO, which is Tony Stark. This is the part. You got the technology, intelligence, analytics embraced by the CFO. So this will be the future CFO. Point of view about accounting and finance. I take it from 2 points of view. The first point of view is from the company perspective. Yeah? You start seeing on the right side of mine, yeah? Those are those early days when people transform, very front end. They want to get the impression to the customer. So they are making a digital customer engagement, doing the digital marketing, using a social media, a mobile fronting end. 2016, it starts shifted to the back end. How to make your operation more effective. Using the cloud, provide the efficiency. Using the smart business services, make things more seamless and transparent and faster, more agile. Back end become important. Today, the middle part are taking into the technology, this is called intelligent automation, digital supply chains, the middle part of the whole enterprise connected. This is a part important today. So these are happening and people are getting into the full holistic company integrated enterprise connection. So CFO mandate will be growing. I still have 3 minutes. 60% CEO believe CFO will become more important. Yeah? So this is the scenario 3. 1 in 3 CEO think that CFO could do more support them as business partners, even in high-performing organization. So CFO, more strategic, proactive, agile, data-driven. You start seeing the power of the data compiling, the embrace of the innovation mindset. These are the future skill required from the CFO. This has been talking in today's, there have been so many speakers talk about all this important technology need to be embraced to capture the changes on the enterprise. AI, people quite familiar with that. Cognitive, artificial intelligence, blockchains. Blockchains is another element which is coming very true. Today we advise one of our clients is Singapore Airlines. All of a sudden you start seeing the KrisFlyer who used to be was so difficult to be converted. Now through the KrisPay, they can use that very easily in the merchant. So the blockchains come with few features. Number 1, a client's centralized server now become a distributed ledger. So nobody control the ledger. It's kind of ledger that distributed across people. Can you imagine when you used to run Indonesian Idol? You had to build a very big server for people to vote just for one event, just for 1 hour events. With blockchains, that can be distributed to so many servers under different ledger. You don't have to even invest a big main server. So this is the concept of blockchains. Smart contract, one single source of truth, no other truth, just one single source of truth, which is a smart contract. Okay. The other part is the secured consensus and anonymous. So those are things are happening on the blockchains. So what is next? Again, need you to embrace the changes, become a digital victor rather than victim. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Irwan, for the presentation. Our next speaker is Pak Eddi Danusaputro. He is the CEO of PT Mandiri Capital Indonesia, the corporate venture capital subsidiary of PT Bank Mandiri Tbk, which aim to provide equity funding for regional startup with focus on the fintech sector. Pak Eddi has more than 20 years working experience in various sectors, including consumer goods at P&G, management consulting at A.T. Kearney and Booz Allen Hamilton, and financial services, including Morgan Stanley, AXA, and Makara Capital, whereby the majority of his work experience was in Singapore. In addition to working at large corporation, Pak Eddi also has experience as an angel investor and social entrepreneur. Pak Eddi graduated with bachelor degree in economics from Gadjah Mada University in Yogyakarta, and also has an MBA degree from Duke University, USA, and a doctorate in management from Universitas Indonesia. Okay, Pak Eddi.
Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. They didn't leave me much time, so I apologize if I rush through some of my slides. I'm actually, to be honest, I have some friends here. I'm kind of nervous. I barely passed my accounting class in bachelor. I got a C, and that was a generous C. So for those of you who not yet know Mandiri Capital, we are the venture capital arm of Bank Mandiri. So we are perusahaan modal ventura. We invest in startups. So I've been given assets under management by Bank Mandiri to invest in fintech startups. So I guess my perspective today is from the client side, looking at how we use accounting in areas where we think accounting is, and specifically valuation, is still sometimes a debate question mark. So the title obviously there is Unicorn and Startups Valuation. I don't have a slide here, but as you know, Indonesia has 4 unicorns, Gojek, Traveloka, Tokopedia, and Bukalapak. The most expensive, I guess the highest valuation of those 4 unicorns, I believe, is Gojek. I think it's about plus minus about $8 billion US. Not even profitable. All Indonesian unicorns, all 4 of them, not profitable. Valuations between 2 to 8 billion. Grab, also not profitable. It's a Singapore Malaysian company, $11 billion valuation. So when we invest in a startup, we invest in a company where valuation sometimes doesn't make sense. And most of the time, it doesn't make sense. Accounting-wise, it doesn't make sense. It's not profitable. But the valuation could be hundreds and millions or sometimes billions. So this is what we do. We invest in startups that a lot of time don't have physical assets. Right? Tokopedia, Traveloka, they don't have a physical store. But their revenue is actually also not significant yet. What they have is what we call GMV, gross merchandise value. That's not even revenue, that's the value of the transaction from Bukalapak, Tokopedia, Traveloka, Lazada, Shopee, and so forth and so forth. If you take the revenue, it's actually a much smaller. And then if you take the profitability, there is no profitability. So how do you value that? When we make a term sheet, invest in a startup, how do we value that? So a lot of time, it's actually most of the time, or all of the times, it is on future value. It is on the potential to scale up. We invested in a company called Moka POS, point of sale, online cashier. When we invested, the valuation was $12 million US. Now it's about 50 in 1.5 years. What changed? It's not even profitable still. What changed? What changed is the number of merchants. The number of merchants went from 2,000 to 12,000. And that, not yet monetized, but in the future can be monetized. But again, potential, right? So this is what we do. We invest in startups, very risky, but we have to take risks, right? Because we have to start at the very beginning. We cannot invest at the later stage, at the IPO or pre-IPO, because then it becomes very expensive. So we invest at the not prototype, but after prototype. This part, predominantly in the beginning, development, ideation, prototype, launch, those are angel investors, not venture capitalists like us, not corporations. Those are what we call the 3 Fs. 3 Fs mean family, friends, and fools. Those, okay, they can go in the beginning and the early stage. We prefer at the acceleration stage. But still, it's very risky. Why? Because most investments in startups lose money. It is, at the end of the day, the 80-20 rule. You invest in a portfolio, most of the time, 80% of your investments, you will lose money. And because we are venture capitalists, we don't give loan. We're not a bank. We don't give credit to startups. There is no collateral. So when we put equity participation, we buy 10%, 20% of a startup. If the startup goes bankrupt, then all of our money investment is gone. There is no collateral. There is no plan B. So we have to make a lot of investments, build those investments, and hopefully 2 or 3 will become profitable return on investment, or maybe even become unicorns. So, like I mentioned, it's not my money, unfortunately. It's Bank Mandiri's money or investors' money. So we have to really manage that. And investing is easy. So we invest now, and hopefully the valuation grows up. But eventually we have to exit. We cannot just keep becoming a shareholder for 10, 20 years. That's not our business model. So eventually we have to exit, hopefully through IPO. But if not, then we do a strategic sale or we merge and so forth and so forth. But this is also not easy because the valuation aspect becomes tricky. In Bursa Efek, the Indonesia Jakarta Stock Exchange, startups now can do IPO. Not on the main board, but there's a secondary board called the development board, and there's even a third board called the acceleration board. So startups not profitable, they can list on, they can do IPO Jakarta Stock Exchange. So I think that's a positive. And the past year, there's been 5 startups that have IPO'd on the Jakarta Stock Exchange. So hopefully, as a venture capital, we hope that Gojek, Traveloka, Tokopedia, Bukalapak, these big unicorns will also list an IPO in Indonesia. They have a choice. They can do it in Singapore. They can do it in London, NASDAQ. But hopefully, they IPO in Indonesia. Okay, this is how we invest. You don't have to look into detail. Just look at the ones that are circled. At the very early stage, we only look at the founder because business model will change, regulation will change, pricing will change, competition will change. At the end of the day, we invest in the founder at very early stage. Now, if it's seed, at the end of the day, we look at the person, okay, we think this person is tough, smart, can adapt. The worst is too smart, meaning that won't listen to ideas, won't listen to us, or won't listen to other people, and just, very narrow-minded. Then that's problematic for us. So that's at early stage. At the later stage, it's no longer the founder team, it's the traction. How many people have downloaded your app? And if it's peer-to-peer lending, then how many lenders do you have? How many borrowers do you have? How much of a loan disbursement? If it's a POS or MPOS platform, it's how many merchants, how many subscribers. That we have to show a great, I guess, projection. So at the end of the day, we look at, in the early stage, we look at the team. At the later stage, it is the traction. And this is how we value. This is something that we've debated with our accountants. We use one of the big fours, but we also use KJPP. We use a valuation company because it's not easy valuing a startup. We do it ourselves in-house, but we cannot use the traditional methods of discounted cash flow. For us in the industry, discounted cash flow is not used to value a startup. What we use is, most of the time, it is multiples approach. And so it's a multiple of either revenue, loan disbursement, GMV, for example, and that's the benchmark. So for example, if a startup says, oh, I'm like Tokopedia, but a bit different because I do it this way, our market is a bit different than Tokopedia. Okay, so we take a look at Tokopedia, what is their GMV? Their GMV may be about $500 million rupiah. Sorry, $500 million US. Okay, so if they are, let's say, one-tenth of that in terms of GMV, then their valuation is approximately the same multiple also. Again, is it perfect? No, but we can't use other methods. So the industry agrees that the multiples approach is the best approximate of the value of a startup. If it's peer-to-peer lending, we use loan disbursement. So Investory, Coinworks, Uang Teman, Modalku, we look at the loan disbursement. So the higher the loan disbursement, we use that as a multiple to value other startups. Okay, there are other valuation methods, but also commonly used, not very commonly used. In Silicon Valley maybe, but in Southeast Asia, most of the VCs that we know, they use the multiples based on GMV, revenue, or other multiples. Okay, so I'll leave with a story. And this is a story that, whether it's a happy ending or not, then I'll leave it up to you. We have a startup in our incubator program. We haven't invested yet. This was about 2 years ago. It had a prototype. The prototype was relatively simple. It was leads management, getting prospects. So not yet launched, just about to launch, and the founder came to me and said, "Pak Eddi, can we have lunch tomorrow?" Okay, so what's wrong? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow, the next day we had lunch. The founder said, "Pak Eddi, somebody wants to buy my startup." Oh, okay, it's good news. What valuation? So well, that's why I want to ask you. So how should I value? Okay, so and I gave a bit pointers. Okay, so and then I asked, what's the valuation? They want to buy it for 4 billion rupiah. Okay, not yet launched, still a prototype. Somebody wants to buy 100% the startup, 4 billion rupiah. And I asked, how much money did you put in as a founder? You and your partner, how much money did you put in? 200 million rupiah. So 20x, right? So I said, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to sell or do you want to continue your startup? Oh yeah, that's why I'm asking Pak Eddi, what should I do? So I said, who's buying? Who is it? Is it a VC? Is it a corporation? Is it an angel investor? He said, it's a family office, Pak. So why a family? Why are they buying your startup? I said, no, it's a very wealthy family, and the second generation, the children, they want to have their own startup, but they don't want to start from scratch. So they want it, half or a quarter done. I said, okay, that's fine. So you sell or no sell? Okay, so just a quick poll. You're a founder of a startup, you put 200 million rupiah, somebody 6 months later, still prototype, not yet launched, somebody offers 4 billion rupiah. Who says they would sell? Banyak ya, okay. Who says they would continue building the startup? 1, 2, okay. Very positive people. Okay, I'm going to tell you what happened. There's no right or wrong answer, right? Even if I was a founder, maybe for me, I would have nightmares also. So I told the founder, what's the terms? What are the terms? Oh yeah, if I sell, I have to stay on as CEO for 2 years. And then I'm free, I can do my own thing after 2 years, but I have to stay on for 2 years. I said, okay. So I said, look, my advice to the founder was, if I were you, I would sell. I would sell, but you have to promise me you won't buy property, you won't buy stocks. Just take the money, be a CEO. Don't become, don't put your money in the bank. After the 2 years are done, you make 3 more startups, new startups, because Indonesia needs more entrepreneurs. So about 3 months ago, I got a call. He called me up and said, Pak Eddi, I'm free. My contract is ended. I can now resign, and I've already set up 2 startups. One is in Sharia lending, the other one I forgot, but that's exactly what he's doing. So I think I'll end on that note, because as we know, Indonesia, I think in the morning session, we all talked about digital. I think some of my fellow panelists also talked about the growth of the digital, and we, everybody in this room as accountants, we as valuation companies also, we need help, because as VCs, we need help to look at startups, how to grow them, how to value them, how to properly record their transaction, because that's still a big debate. We have PSAK 71 di perbankan dan modal ventura, we have to adhere to that also, but we all need help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Eddi. Mark has to go first because he's going to the airport now. Okay, thank you so much. I will open the Q&A session, but because of the limited time, I only give chance to the three person, each from each section, 1 for each section. Okay, could you please raise your hand if you would like to have a comment or question? Just 1 question for each. Okay. Nobody from the floor? Oh yeah, okay. 1 over there in the middle. Is there any in the center? No? How about that side? Okay, please come to the front, please. Okay, then since only 2, so I will start with, please state your name, Pak.
Good evening, my name is Gary Chandra. Gary Chandra.
Gary Chandra, okay.
Alumni Maksi 2013, Bu. Maksi UI 2013, PPAK 2013, Bu. Prof, saya mau nanya langsung ke panel secara seluruh ya, Bu. Selama saya mempelajari magister akuntansi, saya sudah mendapatkan Certified Public Accountant dan Chartered Accountant. Selama saya bekerja di NGO selama 20 tahun, dari tahun 90-an, sampai akhirnya saya kerja di Ernst & Young tahun 2005 sampai 2010, dan selanjutnya saya bekerja di hotel chain Swiss Bell, megang Asia Pasifik. Setelah itu saya bekerja di Freeport Indonesia, megang financial reporting selama 16 entitas, menjadi Dewan Pengawas Dana Pensiun selama beberapa bulan, lolos Fit and Proper Test OJK before 30, dan setelah itu saya ambil kesempatan buka KJA, Bu, dengan Chartered Accountant. Tapi KJA-nya nggak favorable enough, karena ada revoke di PMK yang men-state bahwa KJA tidak lagi boleh bentuk PT. Jadi harus gulung tikar gitu loh, Bu. Jadi oleh karena itu saya mengubah arus hidup saya, bukan lagi jadi akuntan, tapi saya jadi evangelis social entrepreneur khusus machine learning computer science di Stanford, Bu. Karena saya ngelihat ilmu akuntansi jadi ilmu bayang-bayang abu-abu, seperti Prof Wahyudi katakan almarhum, arahnya akuntansi ini seperti abu-abu. Jadi kalau misalnya sudah di bumi hanguskan dengan economic disruption, bukan lagi diperlukan lagi ilmu terapan, tapi ilmu good corporate character versus karisma. Udah lagi bukan oligarki, piramid ownership. Nah, pertanyaan saya, sehingga jadi deduktif ya Bu ya, bukan jadi induktif. Akhirnya saya mengambil keputusan buka startup company dengan PT yang tadinya KJA itu Bu. Akhirnya saya buka Go Accountant. Karena Gojek nggak mau terima saya, jadi saya bikin Go Accountant. Cloud Accountant profesional berbasis CA dan CPA. Sehingga nggak ada bayang-bayang CA dari IAP, CA dari IAI, CPA dari IAP, CIMA, CMA Australia, CPA Australia, ACCA, dan name of the brand lah Bu. Jadi saya bikin club band in the house. Nah currently saya udah ada 89 orang cloud accountant gitu loh Bu. Dengan segmentasi pasar UMKM gitu loh Bu. Nah sekarang saya udah burn money selama 5 tahun nih Bu. Jadi kalau 6 bulan lagi saya udah nggak ada threshold untuk melanjutkan akuntan seperti Pak Hans Kartika Hadi nih Bu ya. Saya kan bukan Pak Hans nih Bu. Kalau Pak Hans bilangnya ambil aja jadi anchor klien 5. Nah cuman masalahnya kalau kejadian jadi KJA ya Bu, terlalu jadi quotation ketiga Bu. Jadi pertanyaan saya, ya lebih baik saya jadi belajar IT ya Bu ya, daripada jadi CPA atau CA, yang akhirnya saya late hour, saya ngerjain financial reporting Freeport, setiap hari saya cuma tidur 2-3 jam, macet 7 jam. Report saya setiap tahun 30.000 report. Kerjaannya cuma 1 orang. Walaupun ada anak subordinate 2, jadi total 12, ujung-ujungnya adalah palu gada. Financial reporting, IFRS convergence, plus management reporting, plus government reporting, plus ad hoc reporting, man behind the scene Bu jadinya. Bukan a man call Ahok Bu, a man call accountant. Gitu Bu. Nah pertanyaannya itu, saya jadi harus kemana Bu? Ngajuin diri bikin akuntan publik kayaknya susah kan Bu? Ngajuin diri ke KJA juga susah. Jadi lebih baik saya bikin McKinsey Boston Consulting Group dong ya Bu ya? Orang Indonesia. Karena ngambil S3 di Harvard butuh 20 M Bu.
Oke Pak. Ya.
Jadi pertanyaan saya tuh, saya mesti jadi akuntan atau saya harus jadi Mark Zuckerberg Bu? Kalau saya mau komersial, sedangkan di UI diajarkan kan Tridharma perguruan tinggi Bu. Pengajaran, penelitian, dan pengabdian pada masyarakat. Jadi itu pertanyaan saya Bu. Saya harus jadi akuntan atau saya harus jadi Bill Gates?
Oke Pak. Oke terima kasih Pak
ya,
Gary.
Maaf ya Bu ya kepanjangan.
Ya, oke makasih. The next, bisa singkat to the point ya Pak ya. Oke. Mau jadi akuntan atau jadi yang lain? Iya, is up to you.
Baik, terima kasih. Perkenalkan nama saya Ignatius Aryano Putranto. Saya dosen di Universitas Sanata Dharma Yogyakarta. Saya punya satu pertanyaan singkat saja. Ini konseptual juga untuk Pak Irwan Djaya. Tadi kan menjelaskan tentang model bisnis di era sekarang. Dan salah satu bentuknya adalah piramid model. Kebetulan beberapa waktu yang lalu saya menjelaskan materi tentang bisnis model itu di kelas, tentang manajemen information system, tetapi baru ini saya mendengar ada piramid model. Nah, mohon dijelaskan konsep piramid model itu seperti apa? Terima kasih.
Oke, silakan langsung dijawab, Bapak-bapak panelis. Siapa yang mau duluan? Yang the first question.
Oke, terima kasih. Saya coba untuk jawab pertanyaan pertama. apa Bapak mau kemana sih menurut saya ya tentunya terserah Bapak sih ya untuk menentukan. Hanya saja mungkin karena ini kan kita dalam konteks profesi akuntan ya, yang saya ingin sampaikan adalah tentunya sebagai professional accountants, kompetensi yang perlu kita miliki itu it's not just purely akuntansi gitu ya, it's not just purely akuntansi. Seperti tadi yang saya sampaikan, kalau dalam konteks IAS itu ada technical competence, ada professional skills, dan ada professional values, ethics, and attitudes. Jadi kalau kita lihat ini dari 3 ini 2 ini lebih banyak ke soft skill. Ya, jadi kalau kita mau punya value, it's not nggak cukup hanya sekedar technical competence. Kemudian technical competence pun itu sangat luas. It's not just financial accounting, it's not just management accounting, tapi kita juga harus tahu corporate governance, kita harus tahu juga business and environment, IT, apalagi sekarang IT lebih tinggi lagi. Jadi memang tuntutan kita sebagai professional accountant sekarang dan juga ke depan, itu technical competence itu harus luas. Ya, it's not just debit credit, tapi justru tadi seperti saya sampaikan ICT skill kita itu justru juga harus advance. Kemudian yang juga lebih penting sih aspek tadi professional skills sama professional values, ethics and values dan attitudes. Karena profesi kita ini untuk profesi kita ini agar dapat dipercaya, yang paling penting adalah kita harus menjalankan tadi 2 tadi ya, professional values, ethics, and attitudes. Begitu kita kemudian sudah tidak dapat kepercayaan lagi di masyarakat, ya kita akan susah lah profesi kita ini untuk berlanjut. Itu sih mungkin yang saya ingin tekankan adalah bahwa Bapak Ibu sekalian tentunya dalam nanti Bapak Ibu sekalian kan tentunya harus melakukan CPD ya, Continuing Professional Development. Nah kalau saran saya sebaiknya pada saat melakukan CPD itu tidak hanya yang sekedar technical competence saja, tetapi juga harusnya dikombinasikan juga dengan professional values dan yang lainnya. Dan tentunya juga dari kita profesi ya, dari sisi IAI-nya juga kita dalam melakukan CPD ini juga harus quite broad gitu, nggak harus yang hanya technical saja. Itu aja saja mungkin ya, tapi kepada Bapaknya sih memang ya kembali ke Bapak. Terima kasih.
Saya nambahkan dari Prof. Sidharta. Kita kebetulan invest ke satu startup yang cloud-based accounting software, namanya Jurnal. Foundersnya 2 orang, nggak ada yang akuntan memang. Jadi software developer dan orang bisnis ya. Ada satu lagi namanya talenta keeper, slicker, ya itu latar belakangnya rata-rata memang ternyata bukan akuntan gitu, tapi mereka melihat peluang. Jadi the accounting skills bisa didapat, the technology skills juga bisa didapat. Ya, yang penting itu business sense-nya itu. Jadi orang harus well rounded, tidak hanya satu skill. Saya terus terang saya sering ke kampus lihat cari-cari startup. Ketemu mahasiswa, jangankan mau jadi akuntan, saya tanya mau kerja di bank nggak ada yang mau gitu. Saya mau kerja di Mandiri nggak mau katanya. Oh kenapa? Itu ya nggak keren aja katanya. Terus mau kerja apa? Gitu. Ya saya mau bikin startup sama teman-teman gitu. Terus ya silahkan aja gitu. Tapi mereka pinter, jadi mereka bilangnya gini, mereka kan lulusnya mudah. Anak-anak zaman sekarang tuh kan lulusnya mungkin 21, 22, mungkin nggak seperti saya yang mungkin lulusnya dulu 25 tahun. Karena KKN-nya lama dan segala macam ya. Jadi sekarang mereka lulus 21, 22 tahun udah lulus. Mereka pikir bikin startup dulu sama teman-temannya. Kalau sukses, terusin. Kalau gagal, mereka masih cukup muda, apply ke Astra, Mandiri, Lipo, dan segala masih diterima. Bukan hanya diterima, mungkin malah diterima dengan tangan terbuka karena sudah memperlihatkan entrepreneurial spirit. Gitu. Jadi itu yang memang skillnya yang sekarang kita cari adalah entrepreneurial spiritnya itu.
Baik, makasih Pak Eddi. Silakan Pak Irwan untuk pertanyaan kedua.
Ya, tadi pertanyaannya di model bisnis piramid ya. Ini tentu bukan model seperti skema Ponzi ya. Tentunya yang bukan juga multi level marketing, tapi sebenarnya dia menjembatani fungsi intermediary dan fungsi user itu jadi satu. Jadi biasanya yang company sit on the top of the pyramids, they compile all these informations, kemudian yang mengallow users bisa berfungsi juga sebagai intermediary along the time yang dia kumpulkan transactions-nya, allow them to grow in line with the pyramid. Mungkin paling gampang contohnya itu ada, saya baca di buku Prof. Renaldi Kasali, dia kasih contoh itu namanya project, bukan Gojek, project. Jadi itu property agency yang allow the users untuk go along the pyramid when you do more transactions. Kira-kira seperti itu.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Irwan. Saya akan men-sum up diskusi atau presentasi yang disampaikan oleh 4 presenter tadi. Jadi sebagai akuntan kita tidak perlu khawatir ya, bahwa profesi kita akan atau akan mati. Karena kalau dilihat dari yang disampaikan tadi yang kita dengar bersama, malahan peranan kita sebagai quote-unquote manusia, akuntan itu akan semakin penting. Walaupun ada perkembangan teknologi. Karena mesin tidak bisa mengambil keputusan, tetap saja memerlukan kita manusia. Namun ada perbedaan fungsi di sini yang dulunya hanya fokus kepada technical competence, kita harus sekarang lebih ke arah soft skill yang tadi disampaikan oleh Prof. Sidharta, tetapi soft skill itu harus juga dilengkapin tadi yang sudah disampaikan oleh Pak Eddi, yaitu kita harus punya business sense yang bagus, kita harus mengenal environment kita, business environment kita, dan yang paling penting kita harus punya ethics dan integrity. Karena profesi kita adalah profesi yang didasarkan pada trust. Jadi marilah bersama-sama kita membangun profesi ini dan memajukan profesi akuntan berdasarkan trust. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya.